Originally, when I came in to the fold of this conference, it was very young, experimental. Wonderful things were happening. The Vision Council was incorporating the vision of the indigenous peoples, also the vision of the environmentalists, the vision of the rainbow tribes from the north, and also all of that was mixed with practicality regarding environment, and also with spirituality, and also with intellectual development, knowing where the world is moving towards, and having a plan. I loved it. I enjoyed every bit of it, but I realized there was a component that was truly missing, and that's my main reason to come here now, besides seeing all my great friends. But what was missing was, you have like the first world, second world, third world, right? The fourth world, which is the people who are born in the city, live in the city, and don't have the opportunity to have what people could call a utopia. But this is an exercise. It's a living practice. So it went from dream and vision to living practice. Through all these years, it gets better and better and better. And what started with a few people envisioning and seeing, how do we see the future? How do we want to walk in that direction? How do we want to get to the future? Now we're in the future. We're in the now, which is the only place that exists, really. And we're here with networks and networks, with all sorts of practices and workshops and projects and eco-villages and bioregionalism. And I bring the urban factor. And I also bring mentors that come out of this area to go into the urban area and work with the youth, like permaculture teachers teaching the punks how to do permaculture design in their new environmental center. So at the beginning, I used to bring hardcore gang members from Nissa, from the lost cities of Nissa, who knew that something was wrong, that they lived in a toxic wasteland, and it had no idea what to do. And they became so inspired. Many projects, hundreds of projects have come from the sheer fact of being inspired. Having lived in Latin America or Mesoamerica all my life since I was 5, I've had the blessing of having different cultures and totally understanding them. My parents were from the United States, and I was from Mexico, but because that's where I developed myself. And you always had that concept of the first world, the second world, the third world, and you don't want to be a third world country. And well, now we come to discover that the third world is blessed. The third world has much more than the fourth world. And which one is that? If you're talking about the worlds in economic terms, which is what the first kind of phrases came out of with the first, second, third world, this is post-development. So not only in these vision councils are we developing a whole new way of doing things, a paradigm that is poly-diverse and functions in all sorts of situations with all the techniques. If they're practiced, they can be practiced anywhere in the urban world, water capturing, everything else. All the needs that the world is suffering right now, that the inner city is suffering even more, because they're way advanced. They're in post-development. What does that mean? It means a world that has already been developed. The developers came, took everything they needed, developed, and left it. They left garbage dumps, toxic waste dumps, broken down communities, broken down people, families broken down, drugs. And kids are being born into this, but something inside of them says, this is not normal. This is not the way things should be. And they have that little thing inside, that precious seed, is the will to create well-being. Notwithstanding the political situation, notwithstanding economy, the will to create well-being. So what I did is I went into the neighborhoods, into the barrios. I went where the gangs were. I knew in my heart of hearts that kids that were gang members, that if you took them, you isolated them, and you said, come on, did you really want to be a gang member? Is that what you really had in mind? They all say no. Every one of them. Now, what kind of techniques, what kind of things could help them be in touch? Well, number one, we would pull them out of that scene for a brief moment and put them in Huehuecoyot. Huehuecoyot was beautiful. They opened up the doors. They had busloads of gang members, and whether, the gangs from the lost cities of Nessa, the King of all that changed in their leather jackets, and they all knew ahead of time that we had a code of ethics, no drugs, no this, no that. And they said, okay, we agree, for 4 days, whatever. So they started feeling loved. They started feeling that je ne sais quoi that you feel when you actually are in contact with nature, that it hums with your inner nature, which is being a natural being. And they touched it. I caught one gang member going around the back of one of our buildings. And I said, okay, he's probably going back to smoke somewhere. And I get there, and he had his face inside of a big red flower, and the pollen was right on his nose. And I came around, and I caught him, and it was like if I caught him doing something illegal. It was, well, it's just that I never smelled a flower before. And I realized, and that was the deal. That was the linking inner city youth to the possibility of a wholesome well-being, having never experienced it. So then they got excited, started bringing others. They even brought street children, really ones that live in the gutters and everything else. And then we started going into the cities because they wanted to start projects. And then I brought mentors. So all along I was a bridge maker. Oh, you want to? Never telling them what to do, simply exposing them to other possibilities. So, I think my function within this, within the Vision Council and within the movement in general, is bridging people together, bringing physicists down to talk to the gang members, bringing photovoltaic specialists to talk with the punks, and because once they know that it's possible, they take over. They have a word in Spanish which doesn't exist in English. It's autogestión. It's self-gestating. It's different than self-reliant. Pull yourself up by your own boots. Some people don't even have boots, but anyway. But it's more like self-creating. And they self-create incredible amounts of projects. So that's the link. And if you look around and you see like huicholes and hippies holding hands with punks with chains in their hands, it's because they can come here and not have to erase who they are to be part of this. The Vision Councils are completely open to people, whoever they are and how they are, that feel drawn to this. See, nobody's forced to come, but if you're drawn to this, then it's a given. It's a known factor that there's something we're all harmonizing with, So that's probably what I could say about, my part in the Vision Council. I believe in the urban youth. I believe in all of youth, and I believe that they are very aware today that it's on them. They are the ones who have to invent another future. I would like to reach out to anyone who sees this, who knows of youth, or who works with youth, or to reach out and hand them some tools. Really, it's almost like if they are in the ship, this ship called humanity, and we're giving them the ship. Okay, guys, it's your turn, but there's holes in the sails. There's holes. The water's coming into the bottom. And, let's start handing them tools. Let's start handing them hope and reach out to them. I know you'll probably walk down the street and you see a young person, you try to look for them in their eyes and they're looking the other way and everything because they're becoming a little more hermetic because a lot of the adults have not been reaching out to them with things that they find relevant. So let's find out what they like and hand them some tools, okay?